Hello everyone, you're watching a video on the Snow Tomb Starsilver. This is a craftable weapon and you can even get one for free without needing to craft it. So the question is, how good is this claymore? Let's get into it. First up is its base attack stat of 44, which is the highest a 4-star weapon can go. It's only beaten by 3 other claymores and they're all 5 stars. That's pretty good. Next up is its secondary stat physical damage bonus. Interestingly enough, this is the only claymore out of all the 4 and 5-star claymores that actually has a physical damage bonus. With few exceptions, I always prefer damage bonuses over pure stat increases like attack percent. The reason being that damage bonuses give more total damage than the same percent in attack percent. Having a physical damage bonus on a claymore of all things is even more crazy. Claymore characters have strong normal charge attacks that dish out crazy amounts of damage with each swing. It's the trade-off for having a slower attack speed. So having an extra bonus damage added to them is the icing on top of the cake. Comparing the Snow Tomb Starsilver to another craftable weapon, the Prototype Archaic, or Prototype Animus for older players, you can see that the Snow Tomb Starsilver gives 7.5%, while the Prototype Archaic gives 6%. For simplicity's sake, we'll assume that physical damage bonus and attack percent give the same bonus of pure physical damage. That means just at level 1, the Snow Tomb Starsilver is already hitting for 1.5% more damage with every swing. At higher levels, this difference gets a little bigger. At level 90, the Snow Tomb Starsilver gives a physical damage bonus of 34.5%, while the Prototype Archaic gives a 27.6% attack bonus. Which means that for each swing, the Snow Tomb Starsilver will be doing 6.9% more physical damage. Nice. The increased damage per swing does come at a cost, however, and it's a fairly big one. If you look at the secondary stat on the Snow Tomb Starsilver, it says physical damage bonus. This means that any damage that contains an element in it will not get the damage bonus. This includes elemental skills, bursts, as well as normal charge attacks that deal elemental damage. Attack percent bonus, on the other hand, works with every kind of damage. Physical or elemental damage, doesn't matter, works for both. Does this mean the weapon is garbage? Not at all. It's just something to be wary of. It just means the weapon is not for characters that lean towards elemental damage, characters like Diluc or Chongyun. Sure, you could use this claymore with them, but I wouldn't really recommend it. For those characters, you'll be doing more elemental damage than physical damage. This claymore is more geared towards the other claymore users. This is especially true for Xinyan, who heavily relies on physical damage. It's like this claymore was made for her. Her elemental burst Rift Revolution at level 1 deals 341% physical damage to enemies in her surroundings. With the Snow Tomb Starsilver at just level 1, and with its 7.5% physical damage bonus, that turns her Rift Revolution from a 341% to a 367% burst. That's a jump of 26% damage, which is like adding an extra level to her elemental burst. At higher levels, the boost is even more scary. At level 6, Rift Revolution deals 477% physical damage to those in the surroundings. With a level 90 Snow Tomb Starsilver, it's now doing 641.6% physical damage. That's a boost of 164.6%. For Xinyan, having a little bit less elemental damage is more than made up for with her physical damage. In addition, what a lot of people don't realize about the physical damage bonus is that it actually works with the Snow Tomb Starsilver's weapon effect. Looking at the Snow Tomb Starsilver's effect, it looks good. You know, you get to deal 200% attack damage every 10 seconds. Who wouldn't want that? You have to read the fine print though. It's only on enemies affected by cryo, which is actually kind of a problem. I've talked about this a lot in my previous videos on Dragonspine weapons, but to bring out this weapon's full ability, you need to 1. Have a cryo character on your team, 2. You need to inflict cryo status without letting other elements touch the enemy, and 3. You need to consistently use the Everfrost Icicle every 10 seconds. There's a huge problem with condition 2. On enemies like slimes that constantly have an element on them, with the exception of cryo slimes, you will never be able to afflict them with cryo because it will just create an elemental reaction. So against slimes and enemies with constant elements, this weapon's effect will only ever do the 80% damage. Comparing this weapon's effect with the Prototype Archaic's, the Prototype Archaic's ability does more damage. It's also less conditional. You just need to hit the enemy and you do 240% attack damage. There is one advantage to the Snow Tomb Starsilver weapon effect, however, and it has a lot to do with the secondary stat physical damage bonus. You see, the Everfrost Icicle deals physical damage, and wouldn't you know it, the physical damage bonus works on it as well. So in reality, that 80% or 200% damage is then multiplied by your physical damage bonus. With a level 90 Snow Tomb Starsilver, it gives a physical damage bonus of 34.5%. So the Everfrost Icicle is actually doing 107.6 damage or 269% damage with cryo. Nice. 269% means that in the right conditions, the Snow Tomb Starsilver will actually do more damage than the prototype Archaic. Don't forget that the Everfrost Icicle has a cooldown of 10 seconds, while the prototype Archaic's ability has a cooldown of 15 seconds. Breaking it down, the Snow Tomb Starsilver's ability has a damage of 10.76% attack damage per second, or 26.9% attack damage per second with Cryo, while the prototype Archaic ability is 16% attack damage per second. And I'm sure some of you will mention that it is hard to consistently get that 26.9% attack damage per second, and you would be right. So let's just adjust the numbers then. On the Snow Tomb Starsilver, let's assume that you only get the 200% cryo once out of every 3 activations. The average would be 16.14% attack damage per second. That's slightly more than the average from the prototype Archaic. That just means that against the right enemies, the Snow Tomb Starsilver does even better than the prototype Archaic. I do want to mention that physical damage bonus also works on the prototype Archaic's weapon ability, but the thing is that the prototype Archaic doesn't have the secondary stat of physical damage bonus, while the Snow Tomb Starsilver does. So what's the verdict? Is this the new god tier claymore? I wouldn't say that. I mentioned previously that this weapon is a weapon that does well with physical damage claymore users. I would definitely use this weapon with Razor and Xinyan. Their characters are heavy physical damage dealers, so they will become absolute beasts with this weapon. As for Noelle and Beidou, sure they do benefit from this weapon, but they also have their own weapons that suit them more. As for characters like Diluc and Chongyun, I wouldn't really recommend this weapon. Diluc uses his elemental skill a lot, so he would benefit a lot more from an attack percent bonus than a physical damage bonus. As for Chongyun, he's kind of a trap character with this weapon. On one hand, he'll be able to easily use the Everfrost Icicle's full weapon effect, but because he has an elemental skill that changes his normal charge attacks to cryo, the physical damage bonus won't apply to his attacks anymore. It will still apply to the weapon effect, but if you're only using the physical damage on the weapon effect, yeah, you're doing huge amounts of damage with the Everfrost Icicle, but you're losing too much damage from your normal attacks, as well as your elemental skill and burst. That's why I don't recommend this weapon for him. In short, while this weapon may not be the next god tier claymore, it is definitely a strong weapon that is better in some ways than the other craftable claymores. Anyways guys, that's the end of the review for this awesome claymore. I hope you guys liked the video and see you in the next one.